So the internet was taken by storm by the Freedom Phone for about 10 minutes. Basically, a new phone marketed to conservatives who feel like big tech is censoring them. And the guy who is pushing this paid a bunch of conservative talking heads and influencers to push this phone as a way to really get a device that would allow you to have, I guess, the best form of free speech online. No longer could Google or Facebook or Twitter or any of those big tech companies, no longer could they censor you or track your data or use all this to paint, your digital profile. But like we're going to see in the video, these phones actually just turned out to be cheap Chinese phones, and the whole thing seemed really sketchy. So what we're going to do in this video is look at the Freedom Phone, and we're going to look at other conservative grifts. And there are actually so many. I'm not going to mention, of course, Donald Trump, Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump everything I could put there. So much involved with Trump himself I could put in this video. But I'm going to focus on other ones today. Also, it's been 31 degrees in the UK all day. It's currently 11 PM. I'm absolutely roasting my room still filming this. Unlike a lot of other countries, when London specifically hits this temperature, it is not pleasant at all. It's not like being in Australia on the coast when it's 31. So bear with me this week while making these videos in extremely hot conditions. Also, right now, I'm going to plug my social medias and Patreon for about a minute, so if you don't care about that stuff, please skip forward. Before we get any further, a lot of my work on this channel is demonetized because when you're covering more serious, sometimes edgier topics, YouTube doesn't like this. So if you've ever enjoyed my work, please consider becoming a patron. And you don't have to pledge a crazy amount. I want to build up my Patreon based on as many people as possible pledging little amounts, like $1 or $2. So if you feel like I have ever brought anything that's worthwhile into your life and my content, please really consider becoming a patron to help me continue to do this regardless of if YouTube monetize or not most of my videos in a given month. Also, if you want to join our communities, come check out our Discord and my subreddit. Those links in the description. And if you want to follow me personally, please check out the Kavernacle at Twitter, at Instagram, and also my personal Reddit where you can keep up to date with all my content and what I'm doing. For every 5k, we get a new chocolate orange. I wonder how these chocolate oranges are faring in the extreme heat. If you want to see me eat these one day, I'm going to have to get to 100k. So help me build up the pyramid with every 5k milestone. I also live stream on a Tuesday and Thursday, and those are uploaded and archived on the Kavernacle Extra, my second channel. So if you're not constantly on Twitter, it's pretty easy to miss stuff like the Freedom Phone. So I'm going to run through it with you today. So a guy called Eric Finman, who says he's the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire, released a video on his Twitter page, and the tweet said, "Today I'm announcing the Freedom Phone. This is the first major pushback on the big tech companies that attacked us for just thinking different. Complete with its own uncensorable app store and privacy features, we're finally taking back control." So let's have a look at the video quick.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
So big tech has been instrumental in spying on the population. That's something that's well known. But these guys' issues and conservative issues in general aren't really about free speech. Think about the hysteria on critical race theory, where in Texas now you can't teach Martin Luther King, who's referenced in this video. Conservatives don't care about free speech, they care about their own free speech, and this is why it's marketed to conservatives. He referenced Donald Trump in the video, and he targets Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey. And although he's not saying, what their politics are, there's a nice little thing, I don't know if you noticed in the background, where it has Stalin and Mao and Xi Jinping with crosses on them, and then it has Winston Churchill and I think Thomas Jefferson and some other founding fathers on the background without the crossing. So it is very heavily marketed towards anti-leftist, anti-communist, freedom-loving Americans. But of course, it's just channeling their supposed frustration into a grift. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call this a scam because he's not promising something and not delivering on it. And perhaps they do have, their own operating system that, doesn't track you, or, the App Store doesn't ban things. It also sounds like a great idea for hackers to just put on loads and loads of stuff, apps pretending to be other apps, just to get your personal details and information. It sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. But he took some of the criticisms, one of them being that these phones that people found out what they were, we'll get into that a bit later, are actually made in China. And listen to his deflection. So our design team in the US scoured the USA to find a manufacturer that was able to make a phone at the scale we need. But we found a horrible truth. The United States at scale is not capable of making a phone. Motorola poured billions and failed. We ended up finding an incredible manufacturer of the free and freedom-loving people of Hong Kong, where my design team and them worked to make a spectacular phone with better internals they've used on a phone before. So this part is a flat-out lie in that they've come out with a new phone. They haven't come up with a new phone. It's a pretty standard Android phone. But does this guy not understand that Hong Kong, is a part of China? And does he not understand what's been going on with the protests? The protests have been, for general freedom from mainland China. It also shows the Communist Party's control in Hong Kong is growing by the day. And, of course, Hong Kong has loads of trade with mainland China as well. They are very, very linked. So the guy who's one of the editors of the Lincoln Project says, you do know Hong Kong is part of the People's Republic of China, right? I mean, you're not too stupid to buy unsecured phones from a communist country. Wait, yes, you are. And again, I'm not someone who agrees with that tweet necessarily, but it's funny, another conservative is calling him out for not understanding that Hong Kong is part of the People's Republic of China. Now, Lauren Southern was the first conservative influencer who I saw promoting this stuff, and I actually tried to go find the video, and I think I can find someone's stream to show you that she actually did this.
I never do promotions ever, but I will promote the hell out of this. This is the Freedom Phone. My friend Eric just sent it to me, and it is a big middle finger to Silicon Valley. We can create our own technology that doesn't need you. And the best part is all of the pre-downloaded apps and content on this phone are all free speech based, or even apps that are banned in regular app stores. So we've got Parler here, Telegram, One America News. In a day and age where it is almost impossible to not at least be put in a timeout or yeeted off the internet entirely for having a controversial opinion or posting an edgy meme, we are in dire need of alternative options. And to see something like this created, competing at the same level against billion-dollar industries is phenomenal. Please check it out at freedomphone.com. And if you're interested in buying one, you can use code SOUTHERN for $50 off.
But Candace Owens was the main person back in this, putting out numerous tweets, a whole video and everything.
Ever once, think about how big this is, pitched a product at you. Never, not once. I have sponsors coming to me all the time. I don't pitch any products. I'm not here to be an Instagram celebrity and be like, oh my God, let me get you tummy tea. If it does not help save the nation, I don't pitch it. Okay? So I'm serious when I'm telling you to stop everything that you are doing, and I'm holding in my hand, literally, a smartphone that is not controlled by Apple or Google. So this is called the Freedom Phone. If you use my code Candace, you can get 10% off. You go to freedomphone.com.
They must have paid her a ton of money to do this, I reckon. So she tweets, I just did a live on Instagram, taking everyone through the new Freedom Phone, which is now trending. So excited that I partnered with a solution against Apple and Google. Use the code Candace for 10% off your new phone. Watch the full video here. Of course, she actually tweets this off an iPhone, because often the people selling you this stuff that no one wants, they're never going to use it. So she was even in the replies of a Daily Beast article exposing this, saying, you know you should pick up a Freedom Phone when the state-run Daily Beast instantly runs a hit piece about you. I reckon they paid her a lot of money. Now, PC Mag did a really good article talking about this ridiculous phone called the Freedom Phone. Smells like a stupid, cynical grift. So it talks about the tech side. So it says, according to a press release sent out about the Freedom Phone, it has a 6-inch screen and 128 gig of storage. As it stands, it appears that the Freedom Phone is simply a bulk purchase Chinese Android phone with a light UI skin thrown over the Android OS. Specifically, it seems to be the Umidigi A9 Pro, available from AliExpress.com for $156 and purchasable in bulk from Alibaba for $118 to $135 per phone. The notch matches, the side buttons match, the camera stack matches, everything indicates that it is indeed this phone, one you can buy with raw Android for just over a quarter of the price. Maybe the Freedom OS really does strip out some of the tracking that Android can do and has features that preserve your privacy. The problem is that Freedom Phone doesn't actually explain how it does any of that, and there doesn't seem to be a single thing the phone can do, from limiting tracking to adding banned apps, that you can't already do on an Android. This is just the latest in a very, very, very long history of conservative grifting. And why I say this is like grifting as opposed to maybe just people taking sponsorships is that with a sponsorship, so let's say my favourite podcast is the Easy Allies podcast, the one I listen to most, gaming podcast. They're sponsored and have been sponsored in the past by Manscaped, like loads of YouTubers, right? And obviously Manscaped choose them because their audience is primarily male. So these products will apply more to the male audience. But I wouldn't call this a grift because these guys aren't constantly going on about beards and shaving and how hard it is to shave and like creating this narrative and then selling you like a really crappy product. It's just pretty clear they've taken a sponsorship of like a health product. But I say grift is more political, and I'd say it's like a figure cultivating some sort of, you know, either culture war thing or religious thing, and then pushing products on you as this authority figure in their life to try and rip you off basically and make you feel like you need this product as opposed to just like a random sponsorship. So Jim Bakker's survival food is one of the more famous ones, and this televangelist, like many televangelists, also push loads of products on their loyal following. Now, just like a Candace Owens for some, I guess, and just like other authority figures who promote these grifts, Jim Bakker tells these guys in no uncertain terms there's like a biblical apocalypse coming one day, or the rapture's coming, or something really awful is going to happen one day because the Bible predicts this. So when I'm fear-mongering about the end times, like Far Cry 5 style, and your very religious audience really believe that stuff, then it's so much easier to rip them off with these products they do not need, but they're going to buy because you're both an authority in their life and they agree with the message you've been pushing before. So this one's a bit older and it's been around for a long time, but an article from 2015 from NPR, Apocalypse Chow, we tried televangelist Jim Bakker's survival food. And it says, Jim Bakker is back with a television ministry in Missouri and a wife named Lori. He's also selling food. Among the freeze-dried products available on his website is a 50-day survival food sampler bucket containing 154 meals. It will cost you $135, but the idea is that you'll be prepared when food shortages hit.
And this rice is hot. Woo, just me.
Yes, it just came out.
Look at this. But what I love to put my hands in there, but it's hot. This is
The cheesy broccoli rice.
Look at the broccoli in there.
Oh.
Wow.
Look at the broccoli.
Now I go on the website and these buckets are very expensive, which is a shame because I wanted to buy one. Joking. So 6 prepared pantry 60 meal buckets, and that is $850, all sold out. You can't buy it anywhere, but lots of people have tried it. There's loads of YouTube videos of people trying this stuff, and mostly people say it's pretty disgusting, and some of it is passable, but a lot of it is stuff that you probably wouldn't be cooking in the apocalypse because of the water and the equipment you would need for this stuff. So NPR tried it, and they said, save for the pudding, the dishes were extremely salty and had the odd lingering aftertaste. We couldn't agree on which was worse, the thick potato soup that felt like eating wet cement, the strong chemical overtones in the chocolate pudding, or the disturbing radioactive orange of the macaroni and cheese. And then someone else in the article also pointed out, if water is even safe to drink in this so-called apocalypse, you'd have to ration it, but when we used the exact amounts we were told, it looked very different from the smooth soupy shows in a 5-gallon paint jug. But you never guess who also started promoting this stuff recently for different reasons, and it's Tim Pool, the totally not conservative grifter. So on the Dave Rubin subreddit, someone said, Tim Pool has gone full Alex Jones. He's now shilling doomsday prep supplies in his latest videos. My Patriot Supply, prepare with Tim Pool. Now, Hey It's for Deem actually did a really good video about both these guys and comparing them. So I'm just going to use some footage from that to show you what Tim Pool was saying.
How many videos have I made where I said you seriously need to consider taking care of yourself and never let anyone shame you into not preparing for some kind of, disaster? The smartest thing you can do is prepare for this, because otherwise you will end up fighting someone in a supermarket over the last can of beans, and you do not want to be in that situation. I'm not telling you to go stockpile for the end of the world. I'm telling you to get a week's worth of food in a little bucket. Now, I do have bad news for you. They're experiencing delays. You're probably not going to get them for a couple months, but don't worry. Shipping will be delayed on every order we take. Keep that in mind. Likely 8 weeks or more in many cases. Keep in mind there is a massive delay. And that to me is, oh man, that kind of freaks me out. There is a website design. Look, there's a little picture of me on it. It is not like my company or anything. They just use my picture, and they want to. You don't need to, they say prepare with Tim. I roll my eyes at this, but it is good stuff.
Now, it's funny, he almost seems like totally embarrassed to be endorsing this stuff. Perhaps he knows it's ridiculous as well. But why Tim Pool? Why would Tim Pool's audience be the type to buy doomsday prepper buckets? Why would they do this? Now, Tim Pool, I don't know why anyone takes him seriously, because he seems totally unhinged in his rhetoric. He has made so many videos about the US being plunged into civil war. For some weird reason, over really minor stuff, he has this weird civil war narrative. And like many anti-SJWs, like Tim Pool is, what I often say these people do is write like fan fiction of reality. Meaning that they'll interpret current events in their weird, long, unhinged narratives about what is going on in America. So you just type in Tim Pool Civil War, first video, 3 days ago, over 35% of the US wants secession and for America to break apart, and the title also says Biden pushing civil war. The next video, 1 month ago, retired general calls for military coup in US escalating fear of civil war. And of course he's talking about unhinged lunatic General Flynn. Secret anti-Trump war games predict Democrats push US to civil war. That's 11 months ago. 9 months ago, CNN anchor left shocked after New York Times writer warns of civil war. 1 year ago, the second civil war is coming into focus. 1 year ago, Tim discusses his predictions for civil war, rising tensions. And that's how it's a grift. If you watch Tim Pool religiously, he does not shut up about the coming threat of civil war. Now, if a civil war was to ravage America, what would happen? The food supply chain would be disrupted, whether that's American corporations growing food there or imports from other country. So if you believe Tim Pool and a US civil war is inevitable in the coming years, then you're probably more likely to buy doomsday prepper food. And that's why it's a grift, because he knows his audience think this, he knows he pushes this stuff, so they are the mark for this. And I don't believe it's like a scam, because these people pay the money, they get the food, they get what's advertised, but they don't need this stuff. And often it's either disgusting from companies no one knows about, or the value of it is just totally inflated because the marketing strategy of these companies is to prey on the audiences of the people they think will be the most gullible. So Candace Owens' following, Tim Pool's following, Jim Bakker's following. So who can forget the original conservative grifter for this stuff? And that has to be Alex Jones, promoting so many different things. And he has promoted doomsday stuff before because he's a conspiracy theorist who believes in ridiculous stuff. Now, there's a fun article on BuzzFeed that said, we sent Alex Jones's InfoWars supplements to a lab. Here's what's in them. Here's one, Super Male Vitality. And this is for like $70. So it talks about all its claimed ingredients and everything. I mean, the test results say, the lab found no traces of unlisted items like caffeine, nor did it find any athletic enhancing drug stimulants or Viagra in it. The labs all suggest that there is no real research to show that many of Super Vitality's ingredients are effective. One ingredient seems to increase libido in rats, but only improves erectile dysfunction in one lone human study, according to Labdoor, and the lab notes that the serving size in both serums is way too small for this combination of ingredients to be effective. But back then, a source told BuzzFeed that Alex Jones can sell 500 supplements in an hour. One estimate by the New York Times, which uses some back-of-the-envelope calculations based on the number of reviews of the supplements on Jones's InfoWars Life store, suggests that with an average supplement price of $30, Jones could haul in $15 million in sales over a 2-year period. A second, less conservative estimate from the magazine puts the figure even higher, nearly $25 million, without including repeat customers, of which there are likely many. There is also another funny video of a guy taking like the Alex Jones diet where he just uses his stuff for like a month. Of course, nothing happens.
As for the supplements, 1 month on BioPack didn't do anything to affect my hairline, nor did I experience any increase in strength, energy, or sexual appetite that would be associated with higher testosterone levels from the super male vitality. When I looked into the raw ingredients of what I was paying for, I paid a markup value 3 times what these products are actually worth.
Alex Jones conditions his audience, his followers, to a certain worldview. And then he springs supplements, he springs doomsday prep on them. And like I said before, it's not like he's taking your money and running, but he's like quite literally like a snake oil salesman, because he's selling you some magic product which is meant to do so much for your body, but then turns out it's stuff that really does nothing for you. Either they're just pretty ordinary supplements, or they're just like a weird combination of stuff that no one really takes. But for people like Eric Finman, they probably see these audiences as a good way to get rich quick. How do I take a phone that is worth $118 and sell them for $500? And the strategy obviously was send them out to conservative influencers, and the conservative audience are your mark. You're going to rip them off with all this stuff. And of course, his ideas for the phone sound ridiculous and sound like they're going to backfire massively when a lot of conservatives who buy the Freedom Phone will probably be downloading fake parlor apps that probably take their credit card details or install malware on their phone. And these conservative influencers are only too happy to help facilitate this. The same with Tim Pool. Brainwash your audience that there's a coming civil war, and then just agree for a big deal with My Patriot Supply and sell them a bunch of prepper stuff they don't need, and also sell them a bunch of prepper stuff that probably doesn't make sense if you are preparing for a period of hostility or emergency, because like it said earlier, with a lot of this stuff, it needs a lot of water, it often needs power. That stuff might not even be in supply in this feasible apocalypse. So this will only be good for a certain environment. But like I said at the start of the video, the conservative grift, specifically selling stuff to their gullible audience, has just been going on for decades and decades and decades. And it's not just a problem that exists with solely conservatives. It can exist across the political spectrum. But it seems to be far more prominent in conservative circles, mainly because I believe conservatives are more beholden to these authority figures. They're easier to manipulate with these cults of personality, and they subscribe to an ideology that is about like protectionism, upholding the status quo and stuff, and they're more rigid in their thinking. And part of being a conservative, it seems, in modern times is not questioning authority when it's your guy or your party in power. Where I feel like with the left wing, you're just suspicious of authority in general. So no matter if it's Trump or Biden, they still don't trust them. Whereas when someone like Trump's in power, conservatives suddenly love authority. When it's Biden, suddenly they hate authority. And I think that makes them perfect candidates for these types of grifts. So that is it for the video. It is so hot where I'm recording. I'm so glad to have gotten through that. If you want to follow me on social media, at the Kavernacle on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to join a community, subreddit and Discord. If you want to support my work, check out my Patreon. And if you made it this far, thank you all for watching.